Check 1 2, check 1 2. What's going on, Lakers Nation Philippines? It's Charlie with the beloved Lakers Nation Philippines podcast. Shout out to the founders like Frisco, Bert, Carlo, JC. There's actually 2 JCs, and Sam, and there's so many more. So I want to give a shout out to the fellas of the Lakers Nation Philippines. So I wanted to talk about the last 6 games. Real quickly, in regards to that last fight between Brandon Ingram, Chris Paul, Josh Hart clotheslining, I hope you guys interpret that as it's part of testosterone in the game. Look, if Josh Hart gets clotheslined, it's going to turn into something heated. Then if Brandon Ingram's frustrated, he shoves James Harden and he talks a bunch of smack to a referee. You know what? That's your bad, Brandon. But I do like your moxie and I do like your fire. Now, if Chris Paul is in a fight with Rajan Rondo, I like that he's jumping in, to be honest with you. I'd prefer Brandon Ingram to be jumping in and trying to break up the fight, but if he's trying to throw down, that means this dude, Brandon Ingram, has a lot of moxie and gully behind him. So that's the kind of person you want on your team. He just needs more experience and time to grow in order for him to actually learn, like, yo, I have to really start focusing on playing better for the game. In regards to Rajon Rondo spitting, the guy didn't pucker up or hawk and then spit at Chris Paul. If it's a heated conversation, you're talking, you're really close to each other's face, and then you're in a heated debate, meaning you're exchanging verbal jabs in each other's face, that wasn't an intentional spit. And it was so little, it wasn't like an aimed spit. It just so happened to land on him. So in regards to that, I was happy. I really thought we would get more in terms of suspension rate for Brandon Ingram and Rajon Rondo. If anything, I thought it was a fair, if not a little amount given to Rajon, Chris Paul, and Brandon Ingram. Now, in regards to the 2 wins in a row, I was really fearful that the Los Angeles Lakers would lose to the Denver Nuggets, but they pulled off the win. Both had missing players. Denver had 1, we had 2, and we were both playing and coming from a back-to-back, so both people traveled. It looked like LeBron playing the 5 with very limited minutes in the closing time is what a lot of fans and educated fans want the closing lineup to be. Now, obviously, Brandon Ingram wasn't playing, but a lot of people wanted to see the lineup of Lonzo, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, and obviously LeBron playing the 5. I like that lineup sparsely, right? Like, if it's the last 4 minutes, fine. That's great. I'm completely happy we have Jonathan Williams. He's a very smart player. He is actually one of those people that just doesn't need the ball, but he's just willing to play his game, which is, hey, clean up. Play smart, play D, grab rebounds, and if there's anything, and if there's any offensive rebounds and you can do a putback, do your thing. I also saw that there was Omar Asik was waived. I wouldn't mind picking him up and dropping Ivica Zubac. If you are still clamoring for Ivica Zubac to play for the Lakers, I think you're a little bit disconnected from the reality of basketball. He may have played well for FIBA, but maybe FIBA is just his peak, and that's his style of game, is a Euro game. But I would love for the Lakers to drop and let go of Ivica Zubac and see what Omar Asik needs. There's a lot of guys that were heavy set that you need a big body, whether if it's you're playing Philly, Denver, and even Memphis. Those are just like 3 examples that people have like really big centers. And besides, I really think Omar Asik has a undervalued perimeter game, and he can also play back to the basket, which you occasionally want to do in this era, though it's coming to a point where it's a speedster type contest. I am not happy with Lance With KCP. I think in the future, I feel if we could pick someone up in regards to KCP, another expiring contract, but just a swap where they want like another perimeter wing and we need like a big or another small forward, I would do that. Or maybe even a backup point guard, someone speedy, But at this point, I feel like KCP is a third two guard. It's Josh Hart, Lance Stephenson. In regards to Lance Stephenson playing the point, I'd like him to be in that lineup, but you have to remove Rajan Rondo. Classic example with the game against the San Antonio Spurs. I felt like Rajan Rondo, and then this is not because he had a brain fart, right? And towards the last play of the game, I feel like Rajan Rondo, you're playing 4-on-5. Yes, he's a willing passer. Yes, he's willing to set up, but he passes up shots. Maybe he's just a little rusty from that 3-game suspension, but for me, I wouldn't mind seeing, obviously the starting lineup would be Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, LeBron at the 3, which is his preferred natural position, Kyle Kuzma at the 4, JaVale McGee at the 5. Coming off the bench, I'd love to see Lance, Mr. Ambulance, make him dance Lance, playing the 1. And then you can insert Svi and give him some playing time at the 2, Brandon Ingram at the 3, and then you have Jonathan Williams to close out your 9-man rotation. So that's where I would love to see Lance thrive. I feel like he'd be better off playing the point 2 guard, if that makes any sense. And I also feel like Brandon Ingram coming off the bench could be like the other Manu Ginobili type. Have him come off the bench. His game right now, I don't see him running off screens too well. I don't consider him an alternative as a spot-up shooter. I think Brandon Ingram, Lance Stephenson, and Jonathan Williams would be great in regards to coming off the second unit. And they would handle a lot more of the second units out there. And in regards to Rajon Rondo, I'm going to give him about another 2-3 games to settle in, but I feel like he needs to be the same issue with Lonzo Ball. If Lonzo Ball is aggressive, if Rajon Rondo is aggressive, then they're going to do much better because their aggression means confidence. And Lonzo Ball has been playing so well. He's actually been a decent 3-point shooter. I prefer Lonzo Ball and Kyle Kuzma playing with LeBron, where I feel like Brandon Ingram, if you move him to the bench and let him do his thing, where it's like a 2-king perimeter system where you have Lance getting his and Brandon Ingram getting his, and then someone like Svi can just spot up, then you're good. I'd love to see that experimental lineup. Now, I understand your frustration if you're a fan that's frustrated with Luke Walton. I am too. However, the only thing I can say is it's a terrible idea to try to change coaches when the season has already started. If you let go of Luke, you're gonna have to have an exceptional next coach coming in. I don't see G-Pop coming in. I don't see any like the second coming of another Phil Jackson type that just carries so much weight and merit, So I do get frustrated with Luke. So for those of you who do get frustrated with his patterns and lineups, I'm with you. But it's just not smart to flip him around. I mean, we've been through Mike D'Antoni, Mike Brown, and we've been through that. This is the time where we need to settle in. And that's it pretty much for this short, quick Lakers Nation Philippines podcast. So we just covered about what happened with the fight real quick, what to do with the starting lineups, and my thoughts on the 2 guards. So signing off, it's Charles with the Lakers Nation Philippines podcast. Thank you.